when the kids were first diagnosed with Sanfilippo and we started looking at, what potential therapies might be coming, because we'd had some very direct conversations with our diagnosing doctors about, what was available, and basically nothing was available in terms of treatments or any intervention or anything we could do to help them. And we started to read about some emerging therapies, so things that were heading into clinical trial, and they were mostly in the enzyme replacement therapy space and in the gene therapy space. And when I first read about gene therapy, I was really excited because it was looking like, certainly the literature that I read, it was showing huge promise that the preclinical studies that had been done in animals were looking to be really promising. And so I was really excited about the potential opportunity for my kids participating in such therapies. And you have to remember, at the time they were diagnosed, they were only 2 and 4, so they were really little. And Isla had, the early signs of Sanfilippo, but very mild symptoms, and Jude was completely asymptomatic. So I suppose I looked at gene therapy and I looked at it through a very hopeful lens. And I was excited to think that potentially they would be given something that could alter the trajectory of this disease. I do remember it took me a long time to really understand and accept what gene therapy was and how it worked, because I didn't come from a scientific background at all. And it sounded to me like almost science fiction when I read about, the way that they were infecting kids with a virus, basically deliver a healthy copy of the gene into their cells. It was just absolutely crazy. So I embarked on a process as a mother of understanding what was available and what we might be able to do to get our kids involved in some of these emerging treatments. And then at the same time, I embarked on setting up the Sanfilippo Children's Foundation, so that any opportunities that came along for kids like mine would be available for other kids here in Australia as well. I think the time between the drug company agreeing to set up a clinical site here in Australia where we knew it was going ahead, and when it actually got to the point where all the regulatory approvals had been put in place and it was ready to go, was so long. I mean, people in the industry have said to me, wow, that was quick. But as a mum sitting there waiting for this emerging therapy to come down the pipeline, we didn't have time to wait for it. And it was the most anxious, probably 3, maybe 4 years. I can't even remember the timelines now, probably 3 years, but the most anxious 3 years of my life. I can't imagine ever going through anything like that. And we were expecting it to be a year from the time that the commitment was made and the regulatory process began, and the first child was treated, and it ended up being more like 3.